How's it going, everyone? Today I'm going to be speaking about planning crops, and I'm going to go over two different ways, and there's probably loads of other ways out there. And the reason I'm doing it is because for next year I want to plan what I'm going to be doing, well in advance, so I can plan how much seeds to buy, when I need to plant them, and hopefully what sort of yield or crops I'll get on certain days or weeks, should I say. So I've kind of broken it down into two different ways of planning it. So you can either plan working from the beginning of the season, so when you start planting everything, so you can make a list or like a calendar of what days you'll plant what, or what weeks you'll plant what. The other way that I'm going to talk about is planning backwards. So you could kind of look at how many weeks you'll be getting vegetables for, and you can say, well, on this week I want to have this and that, and then you work backwards to see how long those plants take to grow, so you can work out when you need to plant them. I've only selected a few different vegetables, and I'll show you those now. I've set up a couple of spreadsheets. So this one here is planning your crops from the beginning, and I'm only using these vegetables over here because those are the ones I'm going to focus on next year. I've already selected what varieties I'm going to go for, but I won't really go into that too much. And I've sort of listed them in when you can start sowing them. So rocket, Mizuna, peas and tomatoes, you can start sowing from February, and you can sow them for a varying amount of months depending on what they are. And then the next would be March. So in March there's all of those vegetables you can plant, and you can plant all of them up to the dates, the months shown over there on the right. And then again, spinach, courgette, squash and beans, those those are from April to whatever dates they are over there. Obviously you could go further in depth and you can go the whole year, because if you want to have vegetables all year round, you'll be planting stuff all the time. But I'm just for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to go over those. And the way I've set the spreadsheet up is I've got weeks. So what week of the month I'll be planting what the crop is, days to maturity, so how long that specific vegetable takes to grow. Bearing in mind these dates are averages, and they will vary lows depending on the variety, your climate, just weather conditions that time of the year. So for example, you might be able to plant a specific kind of plant in February, but only if it's really cold or frosty outside, and if it's really warm, you might not be able to plant that seed. That's just a random example. The estimated plant date and the estimated harvest date, these over here are just like the actual plant date, days to maturity, and actual harvest date are just for my record, so I can look back and see how accurate I was, and for the next year I can actually use those new days or the new data to plan more accurately for the next year. So starting in February, I've got week 1, 2, 3 and 4. So just say for example I'm going to start everything on the 4th week. So we'll have tomatoes, peas, Mizuna and rocket, and I've gotten on my list over here on the right hand side, I've got everything from the month I can plant them and how long they take to mature. I've got the estimated plant date as the 24th of February, and that's simply because I've only got weekends free, and I think that is a weekend. Yeah, that's a Saturday. So I've gone and broken this down in every single week all the way up to the end of April. Obviously I'm not going to show all the months because it's the same thing over and over again basically. But once I've listed everything I want to plant according to when I can plant them, depending on what software you use, you can put a little formula into the spreadsheet and it tells you what date they will be ready. You can work it out with a calendar and count the days, but that's obviously a bit of a mission. So I'm using Google Sheets. So in this example, the formula is equals to date. Then I will take the date that I want to plant them and add how many days that variety takes to mature. Close bracket, enter, and then it says here 24th of June 2018. Now obviously it could be a bit longer than 120 days, but again, this is just an average. You'd need to research the variety that you're going to be using and your climate to where you are, and then sort of work it out from there. Now if I just copy that, if I just copy that down there, it'll take the exact same formula down to the other item. So I can say, well, if I plant the peas on the 24th of February, they'll be available on the 5th of May, and then same with Mizuna, they'll be 5th of April, and also with the rocket. So if I just carry on copying those all down, don't need those there. Okay, so I've copied that formula all the way down, and now I can go see more or less when I'll be getting vegetables. And then obviously as the season goes on, you know, there'll be months where you'll be planting more because more stuff will be able to be planted. So you'll probably find there'll be a bit of a bell curve. So in the beginning of the season, you have a really small amount of stuff that are being planted, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger the warmer it gets, and then again it'll sort of drop off again towards the end of the season. So once you've got all of these sort of listed out, or whatever you want to plant, you can go over it and just see if there's any gaps in what you want. So, you know, you might want to have more of a certain vegetable on a certain day or a certain week, and then you can go and adjust your list accordingly. Okay, so that's probably a slightly simpler way of doing it. Now, if you want to work backwards, it can get a bit trickier, and you sort of have to really plan quite well. And the way I've set this one up is you'll work in the future and say, well, on these weeks, in these months, this is what I want to have, and then you work backwards. So for here, I've done just May and June because I don't want to make it too complicated. So I will have all my vegetables that I want on the side over here with when I can sow them and their days to maturity. And I'll say, okay, well, let's start in the first week of May. I would like to have Mizuna, rocket, radish, and peas. That's how long they take to mature. And this is more or less the day I want to harvest them. So I've just stuck to the 5th of May, which again is a weekend, I think. Yeah, Saturday. And then again, so week 2, I'd like to have lettuce, rocket, radish, and spinach. Week 3, I'd like to have that. Week 4, that, etc., etc., etc. Now, it's the exact same formula on Google Sheets in this case, except what you would do is you go equals plant equals to date, the date you want to harvest minus how many days it takes to mature. So how many days before the harvest date you need to plant them. And then it gives me a date of the 26th of March. So if I want to have Mizuna on that date, the 5th of May 2018, I would need to plant them more or less on the 26th of March in 2018. Again, if I just copy that all the way down, delete those. It'll give me all my estimated plant dates. Now, you can go over this now and double check or cross check the dates you have on screen versus when you can actually plant them. And I think I did put one in here that wouldn't work out. Which one was it? Lettuce, tomatoes. Yeah, I think, yeah, spinach. So it says here, if I wanted spinach on the 26th of May, I would need to plant them on the 23rd of March. If I go look over here, under March, spinach isn't there. It only comes into seeding, or you can only start seeding it in April. So I might have to change that and actually move that to the first week of June rather. Again, none of this is all set in stone. It just gives you a really good guideline. So, you know, if you wanted to work backwards, you would use this way of planning if you were, if you wanted to sell produce to people in a market or in a vegetable box or, you know, whatever it may be. You would need to know what you have in advance so you can plan your farm or your plot you know, really well. There's probably lots of other ways that you can plan your vegetable garden, whether it's allotment or, you know, your home garden or just a small piece of land that you have. You don't really have to do it either. I've just winged it this whole year so far. I've just planted stuff when they could be planted. But what ends up happening is you get vegetables sporadically, or you might get a glut of vegetables and you get everything all at once. And you don't necessarily want that, because if you plant, for example, you know, a whole bunch of carrots and you get like 100 carrots all in one go, they might not last that long if you don't store them correctly, and then you end up wasting what you've put so much hard work into. So I'm way ahead of, you know, next year already, but I thought I'd make a video showing you how you can go about planning your garden. And once I've worked through this a bit more and put a lot more detail into it, I'll probably do another video and show you exactly how I've done it and my reasoning behind it. I just thought it would be a cool idea to show you the thought process behind two different ways how you could plant your garden. Anyway, that's it for this week, everyone. I thought I'd just walk you through what I've been thinking about for next year. If you have any suggestions or different methods of planning gardens, you know, let me know in the comments. It'd be really interesting to hear how everyone else does it. If you enjoyed this video, it'd be great if you could leave a like down below. And if you want to carry on watching these videos, hit the subscribe button now. I will see you guys next week. Have a good week.